A few months ago, we rebuilt Ajax in FM23 when they were one of the best sides outside of the top 5 leagues in Europe, and we tried to take them to Champions League glory within 5 years. Now though, only a few months later, things have completely changed. Ajax have found themselves struggling in the Eredivisie near the bottom of the table, and the club is in complete turmoil and disarray. And whilst that is very sad to see, it does make for a good video idea. So today, we're going to take over as Ajax manager, completely overhaul the team, the staff, everything, change the way this club is going and change their fortunes to hopefully aim for a European trophy. That's right, today we'll be rebuilding Ajax in FM24, our second rebuild of the game. I'm very excited to get into it. Now, I did mention the club is struggling a hell of a lot in real life. Even with that happening, there's almost no chance we'll ever find ourselves in such a position in Football Manager. It's near enough impossible to do unless we sold all their squad. It's just a complete mess what's happening in the real life world, but we're still going to try and take this team as far as we can in game. Ajax have no staff in Football Manager because Sports Interactive don't have the license to it. So almost fittingly, we're going to completely rebuild Ajax's staff as well as their squad. But we do have some good players to build around, like young prospect Kenneth Taylor, who came from the academy. The same goes for 20-year-old defender Dwayne Wrench. And new 23-year-old signing Josip Sutalo from Dinamo Zagreb is a great centre-back. And there's plenty of new names at Ajax as well, like Sivert Mansverk, Carlos Borge of Manchester City, and even former Middlesbrough striker Chuba Akpom, who was signed to be the man up front for Ajax this year. Even with those great players, I still want to pretty much overhaul this squad. We've got £30 million to spend in Season 1. Before we get started though, I would just like to ask you guys if you could be absolute legends. It really does help the videos. Take a few seconds, hit that like button, completely free to do for you guys, and it helps us so much. YouTube thinks, wow, everyone's liking it, great video, let's push it out to more people. So if you could do that, I'd be massively thankful. Subscribe if you haven't already. Over 60% of you watching right now, that could be you, aren't subscribed to the channel but are watching the videos. So if that is someone like you, then hit that subscribe button. We do weekly Football Manager rebuilds on here that I'm sure you'll enjoy if you enjoy this. Don't forget to comment down below who you want to see rebuilt next. All of these rebuilds come from your guys' suggestions. And the final thing is, if you want to continue this Ajax rebuild or any of the other recent rebuilds that we've done, I'll be posting the save files for Season 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 over on my Patreon, which you can find linked in the description. You can go over there, you can support me as a creator, and in return get access to these save files. So if you'd like to continue this rebuild yourself, then come check it out. But with that being said, like I say, £30 million or so to spend, 89 million in the overall balance. Let's see what we can do to change this team. Okay, so 3 incomings have came through the door here at Ajax to try and help us in what is going to be our new tactical shape that I'll show you in a second. You'll see we're now getting coach reports as well because we have got some new staff members at the club. But our first signing is Juan Zvorza. Now, Ajax obviously have a policy over recent years of buying young players and developing young talent that they then can sell on for a profit. And that's a position we're going to have to take in this rebuild. Should we want to actually make Ajax a dominant team in world football, we're going to need to get a lot of money in to buy the right players, and to do that, we need to identify young talent and sell them. Now, Zvorza could fit in that mould, maybe not, maybe it won't work out, but for £5 million, he comes in from Newell's Old Boys, where he's been brilliant, and he's a great central midfield option who can do everything really you'd want from a midfielder. Our star signing of the summer though is Facundo Torres, a 23-year-old Uruguayan international who can play anywhere alongside the front 3 positions and even up front at a push. Now, he's got great ability, joining us from Orlando City in the MLS, where he's been fantastic, and for only 10 million, I feel like we've got an absolute bargain. He's valued at over £30 million now, great creative ability as well as a scoring threat with nice dribbling and first touch, even decent set pieces as well. This guy is going to go very far, and I feel like we've got a great talent on our hands here. And it's the same for Martin Vitic. He's a 20-year-old Czech national coming in from Sparta Prague in the Czech divisions for £5.5 million, 6'4" centre-back with great physical ability, decent passing out the back as well, good first touch, and nice defending attributes too. A very good player with a lot of promise. Hopefully that's going to work out for us over the long term. You will see that the staff situation is a little bit better. Some interesting staff members that we've got is Dennis Bergkamp, the former Dutch international, as one of our coaches. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, former Manchester United manager, has joined as a coach for only £2,000 a week. No idea how he pulled that off. And Terry Butcher as well. He's coming in to be another one of our coaches. And then if we have a look at our recruitment team as well, we've got a new director of football. David Trezeguet is our chief scout. We've got Jordi Cruyff as a scout as well. So we've got lots of famous names in our staff setup there, and tactically, this is what I've gone for so far. Now, this isn't just a preset that I normally use. I've tried to come up with my own tactical ideas here in the hopes of achieving something big with Ajax and playing great football. We're going to try and do the Manchester City style thing of having an inverted fullback. He's going to tuck in as we progress the ball forward, whilst our libero is going to carry on into the midfield. And we've also got an inverted wing back. And now I think about it, those two might be trying to play in a similar area. So I'll see how that gets on. I might change things. But yes, this is what we're going for, trying to be a nice possession-based team and play beautiful football the way that Ajax should. It's not necessarily total football, but hopefully it'll be a little bit close with the players going in and out and changing positions and overlapping each other. But that's our transfers done. We've got 3 million left in the transfer budget, 80 million pounds in the balance, so the club is doing well overall. We are predicted to win the title quite comfortably, so hopefully we'll go straight out there and win the title. So let's see what we can do in season 1. And this might be a little harder than I thought it would, because our first season has not been great at all. We'll start off with the Dutch Cup, where we got knocked out in the third round by FC Twente, very disappointing. Then the Conference League and the Europa League, you'll see we were in both, and that's because we didn't make it out of our Europa League group. It was a tough one with Brighton and Sporting Club de Portugal, but we finished third, and that knocked us into the Conference League. We then went into a knockout playoff round against Maccabi Tel Aviv, who we beat. Round of 16, we went and took out Lask. That took us to the quarter-final, knocked out by PAOK, which I believe could have been a pretty winnable game, would have put us in a semi-final against Olympiacos, who again, I feel like we could have potentially beat, which would have led to a final with Aston Villa. Would we have won that? I don't know, but I would have loved to have at least been there. We only got to the quarters in the conference. That is very, very disappointing, in my opinion, for what I want to achieve in this rebuild, which is, to be honest, I want to challenge for the Champions League. I'm not sure if we'll win it, but I want to be right up there competing for the trophies, or maybe even just win a Europa League. But the league title, I assume, will be a foregone conclusion. It was not. We finished second, only 3 points away from finishing fourth, where AZ Alkmaar were. PSV were 1 point behind us in third, but Feyenoord absolutely dominated the league. 11 points more than us, only 2 losses and 5 draws. We lost 5 times for comparison. Really not good enough, not the performance that we wanted, and we're going to have a real think about things next summer as we try and improve the team. Whether it's the tactics we need to change, the players, or maybe potentially both, we're going to have to figure that out. But our best performers this season were Bergwijn and Berghaus, 2 wingers that got 18 goals and 10 goals respectively. And also, yes, I'm sure I've butchered the pronunciation of their names, please forgive me, but Van der Boomen here, a guy I don't really know, scored 19 goals from midfield, very talented player coming in from Toulouse apparently. Yeah, very happy with him, great performance there. Facundo Torres, our signing, goes in and gets 10 goals and 6 assists in the league, good from the Uruguayan. Joral Hato is a young centre-back that we're looking to develop, and he's played a lot this season by the looks of it, and done really well as well, which is great to see. We are still producing young talent that we're developing at the club, but we've got 20 mil to spend, 80 grand in the wage budget, and we'll hope that'll be enough to help us close the gap on Feyenoord at the top of the Eredivisie. So I'm going to start off with the sales, and this summer has mainly been about selling players on, trying to get rid of the players that I don't really believe in here at Ajax so we can make our own team later down the line. And the first one of those players was Nigerian striker Chuba Akpom, who I mentioned earlier, joined us from Middlesbrough, wasn't great, only started 1 match all season, and we've sold him to Saudi Arabia for 6 million. Look, we get most of our money back, we can forget about him and reinvest it. Nasi Unavar was a young winger that came through the Ajax Academy, loaned out to Twente last season in the Eredivisie, did fairly well, but then Al Rayed came in, a Saudi Arabian team, and we decided, you know what, we'll take the cash and move on. He's 21 now, and I feel like we've got better young options coming through. We might regret this one, I don't know, but we've decided to move him on, now valued at over 30 million. Maybe we got it wrong, but we've took the money and put that back into our side. Another Saudi Arabian transfer, selling Yuri Bas, the young defender. He was on loan at NEC last year, who we did a rebuild of not too long ago. He came back to our club, and we sold him straight on for 2.6 million. The Georgian striker I mentioned earlier, he went on loan to Reims in January, didn't play much there, and now has been sold to Sassuolo for only 1.3 million. He wanted to leave, we didn't want him, and whilst it is a huge loss money-wise from Ajax, they paid 30 million pounds for him only a year ago, he wasn't my transfer. He's not someone that I want, and I think we've got a better player now that will make up for that loss in the long term. And I also sold Croatian defender Jakov Medic to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Ajax paid 2.6 million from St. Pauli. He started 6 times for us last year, said that wasn't enough, so we've let him go back to Germany for 2.3 million, getting most of our money money back. With that cash, we bring in a new midfielder, Salvatore Esposito. The Italian joins us from Spezia for only 7.5 million after a great season in Serie B, and I think we've got a gem here, a player that's considered by our coaches as a potential star. He's a regular starter. He can play in defensive midfield or central midfield, great all-around ability, and someone that I'm hoping will grow into a top-level player whilst here at the club. And speaking of growing into a top-level player, we have got a gem by signing Karim Konate of RB Salzburg, the Wonder Kid factory themselves. We sent them 16.5 million and got the young Ivorian, who's now valued supposedly at 100 million, which is crazy. But you could see why he could get to that mark, because he's a wonder kid with brilliant physical ability at the age of 20. Not prolific in terms of his output just yet, but mentally and physically very strong. 1 goal in 9 for his national team and 2 goals in 10 last year for Salzburg. Not incredible, but I'm hoping with the ability he's got, he can score a lot of goals here in the Eredivisie. And that leaves our best 11 looking like this. Pretty much everyone that you saw earlier, except Esposito, is now coming into that deep line playmaker role. And we've also got Karim Konate coming in as our best striker. I think this team is looking very good now. Not European contenders by any stretch. We've got some good young talent that we can develop and maybe sell on in the future whilst continuing to battle for that Eredivisie title. So let's see how we can get on in Season 2. And we were so close this season. I haven't checked everything just yet, but the league title, we were 3 points behind Feyenoord, which is very disappointing. But we did win our first bit of silverware, beating Feyenoord to the Johan Cruyff Schaal. I believe that's the Dutch equivalent of like the Super Cup or the Community Shield, whatever you want to call it. The Dutch Cup, we got knocked out in the semi-final by Feyenoord. The FIFA Club World Cup, we're apparently entering very soon. And the Champions League, let's have a look how far we got. The league phase, we finished, where are we? Oh my word, that's awful. 3 points. 3 points is all we got in the league phase of the Champions League, winning none, drawing 3 games and losing 5, including to Salzburg and Villarreal and Celtic. That is awful performance in the Champions League, and we need to change that around, else we might not be in this job for too much longer. Having been favourites to win the league in year 1, we didn't do it. Year 2, we haven't done it yet again. Let's see just how close it was. I mean, Feyenoord only lost twice all season. We lost 5 times. They just drew when we didn't, and it meant that we finished 3 points behind them in the end. That's gutting, really. We were so close. Karim Konate, at least, is the best striker in the division this year, scoring 24 goals and developing very nicely, the young Ivorian. Facundo Torres also did very well, getting 13 goals, and Rasmussen, a young player on loan, he scored 20 goals this year for Utrecht, so maybe one for us to look at when he comes back. What I should note, though, is we're doing something a little bit different this year in these rebuilds, and that is every now and then I will stop the simulation in January to try and bring in some players as free agents and whatnot. And if there's anyone that really wants to leave or causing unrest, I'll try and sell them on. And you can see a player is missing here, and that is because Steven Bergwijn, I wasn't planning on selling him, but we then got an offer from Al Ahly out in the Saudi Arabian divisions who have given him £625,000 a week, which we cannot compete with, so we decided to sell him. Cost us 26 million from Ajax. We've sold him for 46.5 mil, potentially rising to 54 million. He's been great in Saudi Arabia. He was great for us as well, though, so he's a big miss, but it is a lot of money that we can now reinvest in the team. And we're going to do exactly that with £50 million to spend and 60 grand in the wage budget. As we go into season 3, we have to get these transfers right, else there's a good chance we will lose our job. The board can't be happy with us with our performances so far. Feyenoord have had the better of us throughout the whole of this rebuild, so hopefully we can change that around. Before we get into the Season 3 transfers though, remember if you are enjoying the video up to this point to smash the like button for me. I won't ask you again, but it really will help the video. Subscribe if you haven't as well. And if this save looks fun, remember the Patreon is in the description should you want to get the save files and continue. But let's get back to the transfers. And we are going to have so much money to be able to do that, because not only did Bergwijn leave for 50 million, one of our first signings of this rebuild has moved on for mega money. It's Facundo Torres. The Uruguayan 25-year-old was great since joining from us, but was he good enough to earn himself a £90 million move? I'm not so sure. Potentially rising to 93, one of the most expensive transfers in world football. We have made a ton of cash that we can reinvest. Yes, we'll miss him, but you cannot reject that kind of money from Bayern when they come in. He's going to be an important player over there, so our talent ID has obviously been great so far. But our sales continued with Borna Sosa going into the Saudi Arabian leagues yet again. When they come in with a mega offer for our players, they all want to go because of the amount of money they're going to get over there, so it's hard to keep hold of them. They paid 18.5 million for the Croatian, who has been good for us. We take the cash, we'll reinvest it. We've just got to move on. Brian Brobby never really worked out for us as a striker up front, so he's been sold to Hertha Berlin. Last year, barely played at all since Karim Konate arrived. Came through at Ajax, then got sold to Leipzig, bought back from a German divisions for 14 mil, and sold back there a few years later for 9 million. Kian Fitzjim, a youngster, has left for the Saudi Arabian divisions as well. Was on loan at Sparta Rotterdam last year, did pretty well, but was never really going to be part of our first team, so we get 4.5 million for him. George Sanchez, the Mexican defender, again to Saudi Arabia, 3.2 million, hadn't played much for us, so he took the cash and ran. Juan Sforza, who he signed from Newell's Old Boys in our first season, didn't quite have the turnout that Facundo Torres had. We've actually sold him at a loss for 3.9 million. Not much of a loss, mind you, but didn't play at all last year, and for that reason he wanted to go, and with the incomings that we had, it made sense to sell him. And we've also sold Turkish defender Kaplan to Middlesbrough for a couple of million. Just as a side note, Martin Vitic has not been playing at all for us since signing. He is one that looks like it's not going to work out. We've loaned him to Vitesse to try and rebuild his career for the season, so hopefully that will help him. But we then went crazy in the transfer market and bought in so many great players that not just make our squad better, but make our best 11 far better than it was. Jonathan David joins us, the Canadian, for absolutely nothing. His contract was up at Lille and we stepped in and offered him a deal here at Ajax. He's came along and is going to be a great player for us, I'm sure. Brazilian Andre joins us from Fluminense and comes in as one of our best players in the whole team. He cost us 24.5 million on a release clause deal. If that wasn't there, he would have cost us a hell of a lot more. Comes in as an important player, valued at 50 million, a Brazilian international. What a signing for our Ajax side. But we didn't stop there. Thiago Almada, the Argentinian from the MLS, will hopefully follow in Facundo Torres' footsteps of coming to Ajax and being sold to a mega team in a few years. 8.5 million was all it took to get the Argentinian over here to the Eredivisie, where he is going to be a star player for us. Valentin Barco comes in as our Borna Sosa replacement and potentially an upgrade as well. 20 years of age, far younger, and a very good player, particularly in that inverted wing-back role that we're looking for him to play. 13 million or so from Boca Juniors. I think he's going to be a great player. Alejandro Francis comes in to be an option in the inverted fullback spot. 22-year-old joining us from Sevilla for £11 million, having originally started at Zaragoza. A good squad player, and he didn't have a huge price tag either. We kept the great young players coming in though. Our scouts were on fire in this rebuild, finding us Rooney Bargi. If you don't know, we can only buy players that the scouts recommend, even if I have prior knowledge, and the Swedish 19-year-old is going to be great for us. Valued at 100 mil, he signed for 9.5. What a turnaround. He's been great for FC Copenhagen, a Swedish international at such a young age, going to be our best player on that right-hand side. I'm fairly confident of that. And we've also signed a young 18-year-old Norwegian international from Rosenborg. This is Naipan, one of the best wonder kids on this year's FM. Thankfully, our scouts did recommend him. He is going to be a top-level midfielder, already so good at the age of 18, signing for only 5 million after 3 great seasons out in Norway. Either-footed, great ability and the potential to get way better. He is an absolute star, and it now leaves our best 11 looking like this, which I think is way better than what we had before. It's Rulli in goal, Wrench in that inverted fullback role, Sutalo and Hato, who continues to develop in that centre-back spot. At left-back, it says Owen Windle, but I think more realistically, Barco is going to be the man to play that position. You will see the tactic is slightly adjusting over time as we've tried to get better performances out of certain players. For example, it's no longer wingers. We have an inverted winger and an inside forward, but we do have Andre coming in the midfield alongside Esposito and Taylor, with Bargi, Almada and Konate being the rest of the team. Hopefully in season 3 we can really kick on. 150 million in the balance, 50 million in the transfer budget. We're not going to spend that though. We'll hang on to it. No point wasting our money. Our transfer business has gone well so far, and hopefully our new signings will come good for us as well and winners of that Eredivisie. We need to do it. It's our 3rd season and we've got to deliver some real silverware to the club. And this is a much better season. The Dutch Cup, let's not speak about it, knocked out by De Graafschap in the second round. Let's forget that ever happened, because the Champions League, we got all the way to the quarterfinals. Let's see how we got there. The league phase, we actually did really well this time round. 4 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses. Losses against teams that you would expect. That then put us into the knockout playoff round where we played PSV, another Dutch club, and knocked them out of the competition. The round of 16, we got Atletico Madrid and narrowly beat them. Then the quarterfinal, it started to get tough. We faced Man U, got battered 4-0 on aggregate. But the quarterfinal of the Champions League is far better than we've done before, but it's the league performance that we're very happy with. Finally beating Feyenoord to the title. Still running us really close though with 80 plus points, but 4 points ahead was us with a better goal difference, only 3 losses all year, one of them being to Feyenoord, and a 4-0 defeat would have been awful for the Ajax fans to watch. Only 4 draws as well, a much better season for us, and let's see who we have to thank for it. If we sort by average rating, Thiago Almada was phenomenal for us with 17 goals and 14 assists. For only 8.5 million, we have got ourselves a gem. Rooney Bargi has a great first year as well with 13 goals and 8 assists in the league. Karim Konate having another good year up front, scoring 18 goals. Still valued at over £90 million. We're building a great team. Naipan having a great first year here. 7 goals and 12 assists, only the age of 18. Now 19, valued at 120 million. I feel like we're doing everything right here with Ajax. Slowly building up, the right transfers coming in, the right sales being made as well. We've got a huge amount of money to spend this summer, 50 million and 200 grand in the wage budget, over 160 million in the finances. Season 4's transfer window is going to be an exciting one. First sale of the summer, Christian Rasmussen, the Danish 23-year-old who looked like he was on the verge of getting a first team place, has moved to go to Saudi Arabia for just under 8 million. Now, he played for us last year, but not enough and wanted to leave, so we've let him go and made some money off of him. Owen Vindal wasn't playing much at left back either, 15 appearances last year, 1 start, complained about not getting enough starts, so he's gone for 7.5 million. I do not want any players disrupting the harmony that we have in the dressing room. Francisco Conchacao, the former Porto player, the youngster that was the son of the manager, I believe, at Porto at the time, signed for Ajax for 4.5 million, played a few times for us over the last few years, but not enough, and we've sold him on for £5 million because of that. Youngster Gabriel Missehoy wasn't really developing all that much for us, still had potential, but was never going to be a regular first team player. Arsenal came in, he decided he wanted to go, and it just made sense. I mean, £5 million or so for a youngster who never was really going to make it. We'll take it now before his contract expires, and we can't do anything with him. Anton Gay, I don't know how you pronounce that, but he is a Danish 23-year-old right back who is left again to Saudi Arabia for 4.2. You can thank any success we get here from Saudi Arabia basically funding our whole club. Martin Vitic didn't really quite work out. Guess where he's gone? Saudi Arabia. That transfer is 3.3 million. He played quite a lot for Vitesse last year, but didn't stand out too much, so we make most of our money back on the player. And finally, Gaston Avila leaves the club, 24-year-old Argentinian centre-back, signed for 10 mil, played with us for a few years, and then has gone back to Belgium for 1.7. Also, Geronimo Rulli, the goalkeeper, has left to join Club America for 1.3 mil. He had 1 year left in his deal, so it made sense to let him go. But our new goalkeeper is an upgrade in my opinion, particularly for the style of play that we're playing, where we have a sweeper keeper on the attack duty. This is Gavin Bazunu coming in from Southampton, where he was in the Championship, then the Prem, then the Championship, and then got a move to us for 22.5 million because he was available now that he was in the 2nd division. Now, he has got 35 caps for the Irish national team. He's only 24 with room to get better. He'll be heading into the prime years of a goalkeeper fairly soon, and he's a great deal for 22 mil, valued at now 50 mil. I think that works out perfect. We've got a new centre-back, a Nigerian 26-year-old international by the name of Igo Ugbu, who joins us from Slavia Prague. He signed for 9.5 million from the Czech divisions after 3 great years over there. We'll be hoping for some similar performances for us. We've got an Austrian wide player joining the club now. It's 23-year-old Manuel Polster, who joins us from Austria Vienna, where he has been absolutely brilliant. 16.75 million for a great player who, if you haven't seen him before, I hadn't, go check him out in your save, because 16 finishing, 17 dribbling, he's going to be great at cutting in and scoring some goals for us. And finally, one that Ajax fans might like, we have gone to Arsenal and signed Jurrien Timber off of them. He never played for them at all. We've paid less than what Arsenal paid him for us. They paid 35 mil apparently. We've paid 31 million pounds. He comes into the club as our best player in that inverted fullback position, can also play centre-back too, and we now have a very good lineup that actually looks like, I don't want to say Champions League competitive quality, but they could get there with development because they're all good youngsters who could go right to the very top. Andre Naipan, Polster, Konate, Bargi, all great young players. Timber as well, Bazunu, Barco, Hato. What a team we've assembled. I think it's a really good one. Expected to win the league comfortably now, with most of the best 11 players in the league being players that play for us. So we're heading into our 4th season, our penultimate season. Can we win the Eredivisie again? Can we push on for some more silverware and maybe try and challenge for that Champions League? Let's see how we can do. Okay, a very interesting year for sure. We win the Johan Cruyff Schal, and for the first time, we win the Dutch Cup, beating PSV 1-0 in the final. We'll take a look at that in a second. The Champions League, we got to the semis where Manchester City beat us. They then went on to lose the final against Barcelona. If we have a look at the league phase, we finished in 19th place, 4 wins and 4 losses. One of those losses being Copenhagen, which we really should have won. Anyway, we qualified for the knockout playoff round, played Benfica, beat them 6-5 on aggregate, just scraping through. Then we knock out PSG in the round of 16. That is promising. That means we're going places with this team. And then we knock out Chelsea in a penalty shootout, which takes us to that quarter against Man City, who only beat us 2-1 on aggregate, which is not a bad result at all. And they still got Erling Haaland up front, so, you know, they're a very good team. But the Eredivisie was super interesting this year. We have our best season, getting 89 points, only losing 1 game. Feyenoord did the exact same. They got 89 points as well, 1 loss and only 6 goals behind us. They are really pushing us as far as they can. One of their best players is Shaquille Van Persie, the young striker who's been doing great for them. We might have to try and sign him at some point just to stop Feyenoord being such a good team. Vitesse take the 3rd spot. Their shirt is on the wall there from all them years ago when I did a Vitesse save. But yes, just scraping the league title. Here's the goal from Nijpan that won us the Dutch Cup against PSV. It was Nijpan that scored. I've just checked for you. Almada into Nijpan, who takes it into the box and hits an outside the foot shot past Benitez in the goal to give us that trophy. And there we go. A great year. We've done very well. Let's see who our best performers were. You'll notice there's a familiar name missing in a second when we look at this, and I'll tell you why that is in a few minutes. But first, Polster with 15 goals, Kenneth Taylor with 11, Nijpan with 11, Esposito with 13, Almada with 11. Goals from all across the pitch. Jonathan David with 15. Why was Jonathan David playing so often? And where is our big striker, Karim Konate? Well, Karim Konate was poached offers during the season. This was nothing I did. He just had a release clause in his contract that allowed Chelsea to buy him in January by the looks of it. They've paid £92 million for Karim Konate. A great player, but was he really scoring enough to get a £92 million move? I'll let you guys decide. I think we're very happy to take that money. I think we can reinvest that on a very high level. As good as he is as a striker, I think there might be better options out there, particularly when it comes to the technical attributes. And that money has given us a huge amount to spend next summer. £103 million and 800,000 in the wage budget. This is going to be a crazy year to finish off with. Can we level up this team to go one step further than the semi-final of the UCL and actually qualify for the final? Our sales for Season 5, there's not too many of them. Obviously, you've seen Konate has gone. We've also sold Carlos Borges to Fiorentina, and then they offered us to loan him back for the year for no cost. So why not take it? Even if he plays a couple of times all year, he's an extra option. We make some money off a guy who never really played. A very strange one. We bought this guy last summer, Igo Ugbu, to be a centre-back for us. He didn't really play at all, wanted to leave, and then in come a Saudi Arabian team to pay like triple what we initially invested in him. No idea what's happened there. They've got more money than sense, but we'll certainly take it. Our replacement for Karim Konate was the £100 million man Rodrigo Ribeiro, who scored 6 goals in 4 for Portugal's national team. How much did he cost us? Actually, not as much as you might expect. £39.5 million from Sporting Club de Portugal. I think it's a great deal. That's like half of what we got for Konate, if even that. And we're getting a player who's probably a little bit further along in his development, I'd say. I'm hoping he'll continue to score goals for us like Konate was doing. I think we've got a gem here. Considering he's the striker for one of the best national sides in the world, what a signing that is. Speaking of players playing for the best national sides, we have signed Claudio Echeverri. He's an Argentinian number 10, 21 years of age, that joins us for only 15 million from River Plate, where he has been exceptional. He's got amazing ability and comes in as one of our best players, valued at about 60 mil. We've bought a new gem player, the only one in this rebuild, an inverted fullback who's going to give us some great depth in that position, 18-year-old Argentinian Ivan Campo. He signs for just under 6 million from Vélez after 2 great seasons for them, lots of potential to get better still. And we had cash to spend. We want to win the Champions League, so we've spent more money on Goncalo Ignacio, the 25-year-old Portuguese defender, for 43.5 mil. Might seem like a lot, but he's been great in Portugal. Plus, we made like 30-odd million from selling Ugbo in the defence, so I think it made sense. He comes in as our best centre-back, a star player, and our team is looking great now to finish off with. This is our best 11. We have changed the formation a little bit to get the best out of our number 10s, who are Echeverri and also Almada. Now that we have less defensive-minded midfielders and we're a better team, we can focus on going forward. That best 11 is now Bazunu, Timber, Sutalo, Ignacio, Barco, Andre, Naipan, Bargi, Echeverri, Polster, and Rodrigo Ribeiro. Now, Naipan has developed so well so far. Check him out in your save if you haven't already. Sutalo's been here since the start, doing really well for us in the defence, and we've got loads of great players on the bench, top talents that I really think can help guide us to another trophy this year. Financially, we've left £200 million in the balance for the club, so things have got better financially whilst we've improved the team on a crazy level. So let's see if we can win anything in our final year. And here we are on the 31st of May, and we have got a great result. Bear in mind, Ajax is struggling for relegation in real life. They would love to be here. Yes, we did get knocked out of the quarterfinal of the Dutch Cup and lost to Johan Cruyff Schau, but nobody will remember that because we have guided Ajax to a Champions League title, and we won it in the Johan Cruyff derby of all things, beating Barcelona in a less Johan Cruyff style game because it was 0-0 and it was a penalty shootout, but we have won it. Let's see how we got there. We went into the league phase, of course, and finished, wow, 23rd place, only winning 2 matches. This season did not start off strong by the looks of it. We did lose 4 games against teams that are very good teams, mind you. That put us in a knockout playoff round. We beat Monaco fairly comfortably. Round of 16, we then take on Tottenham, a game that I would like to have in a round of 16, not the worst in the world. That takes us to a quarterfinal against Real Madrid, who we beat 5-1 on aggregate. This is a mad result. I feel like we shouldn't have got this far. Semi-final, who did we have? Liverpool, 5-2. What's going on with our team? We're beating all these teams by massive amounts. Barcelona, last year's winners, are in the final. We beat them in a penalty shootout, and I just checked. The final penalty was scored by Ryan Bunida, a 22-year-old Belgian who's been at the club for a long time, played 6 times for the B team this year, must have got called up for the Champions League final because of the big bench we could have, used his 11 penalty taking to score the winner against Barca. He'll forever go down in Ajax history now, even though his contract is expiring in a few weeks. And that's not forgetting the Eredivisie title, where once again Feyenoord have matched us to the T. Thankfully, our goals have allowed us to get ahead of them by, what is that, like 7 goal difference in the end, but they finished on 84 points, drew the same amount of us, lost the same amount as we did as well. I've just checked, they were in incredible form, but actually on the last day of the season, lost 2-0 to AZ Alkmaar, kind of bottled it because they were so good throughout the whole year. You can see just how consistent they were. Our best performers this year that helped us though were Rooney Bargi with 17 goals, Bazunu has been great in the net, but Rodrigo Ribeiro came in and scored 20 goals in only 29 Eredivisie games, and he's continued to develop as well, so I think we've got a new gem on our hands who's going to be sold for mega money sometime soon. Ethan Butera even played this season, the young Belgian international who's been coming out of our academy over the last few years. Polster's been good, David's been good, even Andre chipping in with 12 goals there. What a season, what a rebuild, delighted with this one, and there we go guys. Let me know in the comments who you want to see rebuilt next. Thank you for watching, hopefully Ajax fans enjoyed this one. I'll see you next time, goodbye.